She stood outside the hospital in worn shoes and trembling hands, clutching a teddy bear that had lost its smile. Her eyes weren't begging for pity. They were pleading for a chance. "Please buy this," she whispered to a stranger in a sharp suit. "My sister, she needs surgery." He paused. Phone in one hand, fortune in the other. She had no idea, she was talking to the richest man in the city. Not just a CEO. A man who had lost his own sister years ago. And that tiny voice, full of pain and love, was about to change both of their lives forever. She never thought a moment could echo so loudly in her life. 1 second. She was just another desperate girl outside a hospital, trying to sell a teddy bear no one wanted. The next. A man in silence had heard something no one else ever cared to hear: her urgency, her pain, her need to save someone she loved. He didn't give her a business card. He didn't even take the bear, he just asked, "Where is she?" She blinked in disbelief. "Room 314. Pediatric ICU." He walked away without another word. Into the hospital, without asking her name. She thought it was a polite gesture. Something that would vanish like all the other fake promises people made when they didn't want to feel guilty. She waited outside for 20 minutes. Then 30. Nothing. She turned around, ready to go back in, when a nurse came running. "Are you the one who brought the girl in room 342? She nodded slowly. "Her treatment has been approved. All costs covered. Immediate surgery scheduled." "Who helped you?" She stared. I don't know. A man. I just asked him to buy this." She looked at the teddy bear still clutched in her hand. The nurse looked puzzled but smiled. "Well, someone did a miracle today. You might want to hold on to that teddy bear." Dunhu. 3 hours later. Her little sister came out of surgery. Alive, breathing, stable, and for the first time in 2 weeks, she slept without pain. The doctors called it luck. She called it something else. The man hadn't left a name. No contact, no receipt. But someone had signed a private clearance code known only to executive donors. She sat beside her sister, holding the teddy bear close. Not because it held value anymore. But because somehow it was the reason someone stopped. The next morning, she walked into the cafeteria for coffee she couldn't afford, just to think. Just to breathe. The nurse from yesterday saw her again. "You're very lucky. Whoever that man was, he didn't just pay for today. He funded all future treatment. Post-op, physiotherapy, full recovery." "Did you see him? Can you describe him?" she asked. The nurse tried. "Suit. Expensive, confident, quiet. Honestly, the way the staff moved after he left. I think he's someone powerful." She wanted to ask more, but she knew pushing wouldn't get her answers. And she didn't have time for fantasy. Her sister needed her. She focused on helping her walk again. Helping her recover. She cleaned floors at night. Helped the nurses in exchange for food coupons. Saved every coin. But the face of that man, it stayed with her. She didn't even know what she'd say if she met him again. "Thank you." That felt too small. A month passed. One afternoon, her sister, now walking with a crutch and smile, asked, "Dee Dee, who was that man?" "I don't know." "Will he come back?" "I don't think so." "Why did he help us?" She didn't answer. Because deep inside she was wondering the same. But fate wasn't done. On the 38th day since that moment, she saw him again. Not in a hospital. Not in the cafeteria. But outside the same building she walked past every day on her way home. Radcliffe Towers. He was stepping into a black car when their eyes met. He paused. So did she. For a moment everything around them stopped. No cars, no sounds, just recognition. She didn't smile. He didn't wave. He simply nodded once. Then the door closed, and the car drove away. She stood there frozen. Why didn't she move? Why didn't she call out? Regret burned her chest. That could have been her only chance. But it wasn't. The next day, a man in a gray suit came to the hospital with an envelope. "For you," he said, handing it to her. Mr. Malik asked this to be delivered personally. She opened it slowly. Inside was a note, handwritten. "I never forgot. You reminded me why I do what I do. Come to the 54th floor of Radcliffe Towers, Tuesday, 1100 a.m. RM. Course she went. Of course she did. She wore the same clothes she always did. Nothing changed. She didn't have the money to look different. But she walked through the lobby like she belonged there. Security checked her name, cleared, elevator up, 54th floor, and there he was, office huge, city in the background, quiet. He stood as she entered. No introductions this time. I thought you disappeared, she said. I was waiting for you to show up, he replied. They sat across from each other. Silence wasn't uncomfortable. He finally said, that day I saw my sister in your eyes. She waited. I lost her. Couldn't afford her treatment. We were too late, she whispered. I'm sorry. He nodded. You don't need to be. You gave me something I lost, purpose. She shook her head. All I did was ask you to buy a teddy bear. And it reminded me. He said. That real problems don't shout. They whisper. They didn't talk about money. They didn't talk about help. They talked about memory. About pain. About people. When she left the building, she didn't just walk away with answers. She walked away with something rarer. A connection. And though she didn't know it yet, that moment would echo louder than the first. 2. She returned to the hospital the next morning, feeling a strange mixture of peace and confusion. Her sister was stronger now, walking better, talking more. But her mind kept drifting back to the meeting on the 54th floor. To the man who spoke about purpose. To the look in his eyes that didn't match his status. For a billionaire, Rayyan Malik didn't act like the world owed him anything. In fact, he acted like he owed the world something. Her sister, now reading picture books again, smiled more than she had in months. Are we rich now? She asked one day innocently. She laughed. No. We're just lucky someone good crossed our path. But even she knew it wasn't luck. It was something else. That week, she found an envelope slipped into her locker in the hospital's staff room. Inside was a note. The Teddy Bear Fund is officially registered. Your name is listed as co-founder. Let's meet. No contact number. Just a time. Thursday, 10:00 a.m. Same office. She didn't hesitate. This time. When she walked into his office, he smiled. I hope you're not upset, he said. I'm just confused. Why me? He sat back. You were the catalyst. The reminder. I want to build something real. A system where no sister loses a sibling because she can't afford help. And I'm what the face of that? She asked. No. He replied. You're the soul of it. She felt overwhelmed. I'm not trained. I didn't go to college. I've only worked cleaning jobs. Good, he said. Then you understand struggle better than most executives do. She looked at the papers. You want me to sign this? If you want to. If not, I'll still fund it. But I'd rather build it with someone who knows what it's like to feel invisible. She signed. And from that moment, everything changed. Meetings started, lawyers, organizers, planners. She didn't understand half the terms. But Rayyan explained them. Patiently. Not like a teacher, more like a teammate. He told her about his past. About growing up in a one-bedroom apartment. About losing his sister when she was 9. About how no one listened when they asked for help. He told her how he built his company not for luxury, but for revenge. Revenge against the system that ignored them. And how somewhere along the way, he lost the heart behind it all. You brought it back, he said once. She didn't know how to respond. Instead, she focused on learning. She read every file. Attended every planning call. Sat quietly in investor meetings just to understand how decisions were made. People in suits began nodding when she spoke. Even though her grammar wasn't perfect, her heart was clear. And in time, she earned not just respect, but trust. The foundation launched publicly in 3 months. They helped 4 families in the first week. By the end of the second month, 12 children had received life-saving surgeries. Her name was in newspapers, but she still lived in the same apartment. Took the same bus. Cooked the same meals. Fame didn't change her, but it changed how the world treated her. Some called her lucky. Others called her a puppet. She didn't care. Only one thing mattered. The children. One day, she and Rayyan walked out of a meeting late at night. She looked up at the sky. Do you ever feel like this isn't real? He smiled. All the time. You're the richest man I've ever met. And yet you talk like we're the same. He paused. Because we are. Rich doesn't mean full. Money doesn't fix what pain carves out. She looked at him. What carved you? My sister, he said softly. They didn't speak for a while after that. Silence wasn't awkward between them anymore. It was shared space. Weeks passed. The foundation became a national name. One evening she got a call. A media house wanted to feature her story. Rayan suggested they do it together. The interview aired on prime time. The reporter asked, "What made you stop for her that day?" Ryan answered without pause. "Because no one stopped for me when I needed it." They turned to her. "And what did you see in him that day?" She thought for a second. "I didn't see a billionaire. I saw a stranger who actually listened." The clip went viral. Donations flooded in. Volunteers signed up. Hospitals began calling. But amid the noise, one truth grew louder: their bond was now public. And public bonds attract public questions. Were they just partners? Or something more? The media loved the mystery. Headlines speculated. Cameras followed them. But neither of them said anything. Until one day, her sister asked bluntly, "Do you love him?" She smiled. "He saved your life." "That's not what I asked." She didn't answer. Because she didn't know. One afternoon they sat alone in his office again. She was reviewing files. He was staring out the window. Without turning, he asked, "Do you miss your old life?" She replied, "It wasn't really a life. It was survival." He nodded. "I miss mine," he said quietly, "before the fame. Before the pressure. When I could just walk and not be watched." She closed the file. "Then why stay in it?" "Because this foundation, this work, it's the only thing that feels real now." She looked at him for a long moment. "Then hold on to it. And if you start to forget why you built it, I'll remind you." He finally turned to her. "Promise. Promise." 2. That night, she got home late. There was a letter slipped under her door. No return address, just her name. She opened it. Inside was a single line. "What starts with pain doesn't have to end with it. RM." She smiled. Then placed it inside the teddy bear's box. The one she kept hidden under her bed. 3 months after the foundation's public launch, her life felt unrecognizable. She was attending conferences, giving speeches, meeting ministers, doctors, media representatives. But she still made time for her sister every morning, brushing her hair, packing her school bag, reading to her before bed. That part never changed. Neither did the quiet bond between her and Rayan. He remained distant in public, but present in silence. A man who rarely explained himself, but whose actions spoke in volumes. At work, they were aligned. But outside, there were questions neither of them asked. Until the headlines started getting louder. Poof! Teddy bear angel. Billionaire's secret muse. Inside the quiet friendship stirring the nation. Hairs and hearts. Is there more to this than charity? Every blog, every tabloid, every whisper twisted their story. People online debated her worth. Some called her a saint. Others called her lucky. Some accused her of being a gold digger. She ignored it at first. Rayan told her not to let noise shape her. But the noise began shaping everything. Donors started asking about their relationship. The foundation's board got nervous. Even staff began tiptoeing around her. And she began questioning herself. Was she really supposed to be here? Or was she just a passing chapter in his powerful life? One night, after a long board meeting, she stayed behind. Rayan was still at his desk, reading. "Do you regret this?" she asked quietly. He looked up. "What part?" "Choosing me, involving me, trusting me." He closed the file. "Is that what they're saying now?" She nodded. He leaned forward. "Then let them talk." "But it's affecting everything," she said. "People treat me like I don't belong." "You didn't ask for their approval. You earned your place." Her voice dropped. Maybe this was all a mistake. He stood up and walked to the window. "I once built a $1 billion empire trying to prove people wrong," he said. "It never gave me peace." "Then why keep going?" He turned back to her. "Because when I met you, I remembered what it felt like to do something right." Her voice cracked. "Then why does doing the right thing feel so lonely?" He paused. Then walked over, gently handed her the teddy bear box he kept on a shelf behind his desk. "You gave me this," he said. "Not the object. The reminder. When the world gets loud, go back to the moment it was quiet. That's where truth lives." She left the office that night not with answers, but with resolve. She would not explain herself anymore. She would lead with results. And silence the noise the only way that ever worked. Through action. In the following weeks, the foundation grew even faster. They opened 2 new clinics. Rayan pushed her forward at every press event. "She's not just the face of this. She's the reason it exists. He told reporters. She gave speeches without scripts. Told real stories. Cried once on camera. It went viral for the right reasons. Donations tripled. But her heart stayed complicated. Because even as the world applauded, she felt something else rise. A fear. A fear that one day this would end. That he would disappear. That all of this. The trust. The partnership, the bond, was temporary. One evening she found a message on her phone, dinner. Tonight, 7 p.m., no boardroom. Just conversation. She hesitated. Then said yes. They met at a quiet rooftop restaurant. No paparazzi. No interviews. Just the two of them. For the first time in months. They didn't talk about hospitals or fundraisers. He asked about her childhood. She told him about summers without electricity. Drawing pictures under candlelight with her sister. He shared how he taught himself business by selling used phones at age 12. They laughed. Not forced. Not careful. Real. As dessert arrived he asked, "Do you know the moment I realized I trusted you?" She shook her head. "That first day," he said. "You didn't ask for my number. Or anything beyond that bare. You only asked for help for someone else." She looked down. "I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I know," he said softly. "That's why you did." They didn't talk about love. Not directly. But something shifted. There was no longer just gratitude between them. There was quiet recognition. Of loneliness. Of healing. Of something neither was ready to name. The next morning, a storm hit the city. A real one. Flooded streets. Closed schools. Power outages. She helped organize emergency supplies from the foundation. Ryan arrived, drenched. Carrying boxes himself. "You're not supposed to do manual labor," she joked. "You're not supposed to smile in a crisis," he replied. They worked side by side for hours. No cameras, no press, just effort. And for the first time, the people around them saw it too. They weren't a headline. They were a team. A week later, she was called to a private meeting by the board. They had a proposal. They wanted to expand the foundation globally. But they also wanted to restructure leadership. They suggested she step aside from co-founder status and instead serve as public goodwill ambassador. Polite words for a step down. She was stunned. "But why?" she asked. "You're brilliant," one of them said. "But you don't have the corporate experience. It's about optics. Stability. Growth." She walked out of the room without a word. Straight to Ryan's office. He already knew. "I'll shut it down," he said immediately. "Start over if I have to." She shook her head. "No, you can't. Then I'll make them reverse it." "No," she said again. "You'll let them." He froze. "Why?" "Because I don't want to be in a place I'm not welcome. I want to build something new. My way." He stared at her. Then slowly nodded. "You taught me how," she said. "Now let me fly with it." He stood, walked over.
"You sure?" She smiled.
"Yes." They shook hands. Then hugged, not because it was goodbye, but because it was a new beginning. 2 months later, she launched her own foundation. Smaller. Grassroots. Focused on women and children in rural areas. She named it Hope's Second Voice. And on the first day, she received a box. Inside was a teddy bear. With a note. "Every great thing begins with one small voice." R.M. Ryan Malik stood at the edge of the rooftop of his corporate building, staring at the city below. Lights flickered like distant stars, but none of them lit up the emptiness inside him. He had wealth. He had power. But for the first time in years, he felt seen. Not by board members or investors, but by a girl holding a teddy bear. It had been weeks since their talk in the car. And still her voice lingered in his mind. People don't always want to be saved. Sometimes they just want to be heard. Her words had stuck with him. Because he remembered what it was like to be unheard. Ryan wasn't born a CEO. He was born in a 2-bedroom flat in a forgotten street, where his mother stitched clothes and his father disappeared before he turned 7. He had sold roses at signals. Carried groceries, once even polished shoes. So when he saw the girl standing there with a teddy bear, he didn't see a beggar. He saw himself. But she didn't know that, and maybe that's why she mattered. One afternoon, he walked into the hospital again. Not in his suit, not with his assistant. Alone. Quiet. The girl was helping a nurse carry files. She almost dropped them when she saw him. "Ryan. I came to say something." She nodded slowly. I've spent my life running from who I was until you reminded me what I survived. I don't want to hide it anymore. That's why I'm starting a new wing in my company. The Second Chance Foundation. And I want you to lead it. Her eyes widened. May. Yes. Because you know what it means to have nothing and still fight. I don't need someone with a degree. I need someone with heart. Tears fell silently down her cheeks. But I'm just a girl who sold teddy bears. And I was just a boy who sold roses. He said gently. It's not what we sell. It's why we sell. She didn't say yes right away. But she didn't say no either. 6 months later, the Second Chance Foundation had launched with quiet strength. Children were going back to school. Mothers were finding jobs. Families were getting back on their feet. At the opening ceremony, journalists asked Ryan about the inspiration. He didn't talk about profits or strategy. He pointed to the girl beside him. She reminded me of who I was. And because of her, I remember who I want to be. The crowd clapped. Cameras flashed. But in that moment, nothing else mattered. She looked at him and smiled. You bought my teddy bear once. She whispered. He smiled back. You gave me something more valuable in return. What's that? Hope. And that was how a stranger with a teddy bear changed a billionaire forever. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. It really helps us bring you more stories that inspire and move the soul. Tell us in the comments, what did you learn from this video? We read every single one. Thank you for giving us your precious time. We'll see you in the next video with another story that just might change your life. Until then, take care and keep believing.